Welcome to Million Dollar Dentistry with your host, Gary Cady, brought to you by Next Level Practice. Next Level Practice is the leader in dental practice management. In fact, they are the best in the world at creating happy teams that implement sustainable results. Your host, Gary Cady, welcomes you to this podcast as he discusses the common concerns, challenges, and shares his decades of experience in empowering dentists and dental teams to go from good to world class. Gary Cady is the visionary voice of Next Level Practice and has for the past 20 years interrupted the status quo of the dental world. He continues to bring national attention to the oral systemic connection and believes in the complete health dentistry model. He is a powerful educator and advocate for dentistry, dentist, and dental teams. He is inspired every day by the courage and personal successes of the doctors and team members he has the privilege of working with. Welcome, Gary.
Oh my gosh, Amber, I love when we sit down and we talk good dental stuff. And we got a good one today. This is probably my favorite topic because it is the most difficult one for practice owners in that they're always grappling with team, and especially now with all the things that are going on in the world, like team and expenses, and it all comes together in this one podcast. Amber Keithley.
Yes. I'm excited about this too because, having a mindset shift, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, of that mindset shift of seeing things as salaries or seeing things as an investment. And what do you mean when you suggested that they shift their thinking?
Well, because I think a lot of dentists, they look at every expense as painful. And so like anytime, I shouldn't even say expense, anytime money is not coming into the bank account, it's painful. So if you have a new relationship to spending money, and you're not going to live in pain every day, you're going to actually imagine having a relationship instead of spending money. Imagine if it was like this: every dollar I give you, Amber, you're going to give me $2 back. And so now can you see, if I'm in the headspace of every dollar that goes out is painful, I'm giving Amber $1, then I'm pained. But if I go, now I set my game up right, and I give Amber $1, and there's going to be 2 coming right back, and I can count on that. Oh man, my relationship to giving you $1 is completely altered, right? And that's the concept here. It's all about return on investment. There's 3 types of expenses. I really want to dig in on here, the 3 types. I think it's really important so that doctors and practice owners relate to money in a certain way. There's 3 types. There's the destructive expense, the consumptive expense, and the productive expense. So this is a really good exercise in evaluating your P&Ls, evaluating your credit card list. I would just go down. And a destructive expense is if you spend $1, you lose more. So, as an alcoholic, I'm 12 years sober now. If I bought a bottle of wine at $30, $40, it's not the $30, $40 that the expense is. It's downstream on the impact that has on the trust my wife has me, my son, my ability to do my work, my self-esteem. The cost is so great. Another example in a dental practice would be you're spending, $20 an hour on a team member that when you say black, they say white. When you say yes, they say no. They're just defiant and they don't line up with you. That's where it's a destructive cost. It's killing off you getting a return on investment, not just from that person, but from the entire team, because the entire team benchmarks against the lowest, the lowest relationship, if you will. And then consumptive is like the rule of consumptive is don't buy it on credit, pay for it cash. You spend $1, you get $1 in another form. An example would be a vacation. I don't get money back from a vacation, but I get rested, I get clear, I come back refreshed. It's good for my soul. And that's a consumptive expense. And then a productive expense is like when people work with us. They spend $1, we guarantee that we give them a return on investment, and there's no risk. They get their money back. So it's a productive expense. And you want to have, in today's world, Amber, every expense should be either a consumptive or a productive expense.
Absolutely. Definitely. So when we talk about triple wins in, setting up a bonus system and that type of thing, doctors like, oh, I can't afford to bonus, I'm just, how can we kind of help them shift the mindset to seeing this bonus system as setting a triple win? And what does the triple win really, truly do for the entire picture?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite concepts that we invented, because this is what I saw missing when I got into the industry. There was a guy who I remember, this is how long I've been in the business. I got a cassette tape mailed to him, and he would send out a monthly cassette tape of the idea of the month. And he went over this bonus system. And I was just so fascinated. I'm like, this is brilliant. This is great. His name is Greg Stanley. Just brilliant, like smart dude, like great. But it was like, what happens with most bonus systems are they're not triple win, meaning that the team member wins, meaning that the doctor's paying bonus, but the doctor didn't get the benefit of the increase in the change in behaviors with the team. And the same people were producing the same amount. So therefore, he or she was paying more bonus to people in a group format that they didn't do anything to change the game, and their profitability didn't change. So why should they be sharing money? So, that's a really big one. Or if, the patient's winning, you're giving dentistry away, and then the practice isn't winning, the team member's not winning. And, or like if it's just about the doctor, and that's the one dimension of like, sell, force, hoard, close, like a DSO, like that kind of ferocious. Then DSO can't keep team members. They have attrition high, and their patients are going, I just feel like I've been bombarded with a sale. And so this concept of triple win that we created does that. It acknowledges all people simultaneously. What it means is you have to create value for the patient first. If you don't create known value, and the concept here is known value, not value that I know that they should know, but value that they know, Amber, through the education and the way we present treatment, so that they really go, wow, I had no idea. Nobody ever shared that with me. Now I understand why I need what I needed and how to pay for it. That's incredible. Thank you. And not only did you save my smile, you saved my life, because the mouth and the body are connected, and you have that kind of education system. That's how you share intelligent things with intelligent people, and they make intelligent decisions. That's how you get the patient to win. And they're blown away, and then they give you reviews. So that's the patient winning. The team winning is, see, if you're selling widgets today, if you're selling dentistry today, if you're selling crowns and fillings today, you are not going to attract top talent. You have to have a meaningful purpose behind your work, and you have to take care of your internal customer. Like some people even forget about their team, and they only go out to the external customer. Think of your team as they buy what you offer every day. What's the package you're offering them? How do you acknowledge them? How do you recognize them? How do you teach them? Do they become better people because they're learning and growing inside of your world? Do they have, future advancements so that they can really see a picture like of where you're going, and they can help you get there, and you're going to share in that with them? And that, when you create that kind of magic, like you and I have, Amber, like, that's what my intention is for you. Like, I respect you. You do beautiful work. You hold integrity. The values of the company are held. We even said, in full transparency, I said, you answer the phone, how may I brighten your smile? And I say, Amber, do you know that you have made a difference in my life? Like, that's the kind. And by the way, I'm not a touchy-feely kind of guy. I'm like, let's get shit done here. We have the GSD crew, and you'll know we have a whole GSD group, get shit done. I'm a get shit done guy. And we have hats to prove it with poop emojis on it. If you want them, just reach out to Amber. It's a lot of fun. And I'm sorry for swearing if I upset anybody. That's about as far as I'll go. But here's the deal. You got to take care of your internal people. That's the people win. And then ultimately the practice wins when patients get value. Team members are now willing and hungry to, our relationship, like, you're ahead of me. You're pushing things way ahead of me. You're saying yes, and you're protecting the company. And you're protecting, all the things around it, like as if it were yours. That's what I wake up and I go, I have a great partner. You're just not somebody that does podcasts and builds platforms with me and educates and coaches, customers. You are a missionary for our work. And I'm grateful for that. And so when you have that, the practice wins automatically, because the other two groups are taken care of. By the way, most people take care of the mothership first. They forget about taking care of the other two, and it's imbalance, and that's why it doesn't work.
And I love that. Thank you, Gary. And I have to say that it is empowering to work in this system. And because this is a system that we're just teaching to others, we actually live this system ourselves. And so that makes a difference because we're practicing it here and perfecting it so that we can bring it to the dental practices. So we're trying it out on ourselves first. And I love that because then we know that it works, and it works 100% of the time when you work at 100%. So
Yeah, it's like anything. It's like if you work out, you get in shape. It's just pretty easy. You follow the system and it works.
great, great. So the more you pay in bonuses actually builds the bottom line of the doctor.
Yes.
Okay. And so when they're thinking in this way, this is going to ask them to really kind of move to a new mindset, and it's moving away from that scarcity mindset. Right now, do you think, in where the world is, where people are, that scarcity mindset sometimes will kick in. So how do you help the doctors move to a new mindset?
Well, first of all, let me distinguish scarcity and abundance, because I think that that's the first thing we'll do here. Scarcity. I love pies. I love banana cream pies. In fact, those are my favorite. I haven't eaten one in a while because you can't make it keto, but I think you can eventually. But right now, banana cream pie is like, oh man, that's my favorite. Now, here's the thing. I like it so much that if I'm in scarcity, I look at it like there's one pie, and if I have to give a slice to you, Amber, then it's a win-lose, because like you win and I lose. I had to give up something. That's the scarcity mindset, that there's a finite amount of things in the world. An abundance mindset, you actually have to train yourself, because the way the world's set up, it's designed to have you think in scarcity and fear. It's designed that way. All the ads, money, by the way, all money is pixels on a screen, and it's dead guys on green pieces of paper. But what the conversation surrounding money is that it's scarce. That's why it has value. Because if I said, Amber, there's 2 tons of sand in my Arizona home, go get it, and I gave you the keys, you're going to be like, I don't need that. The conversation around sand in the desert is it's abundant. So therefore it has no value. That's why people they feel like they could just get it and it's everywhere. But if I said there's $2 million in this safe, here's the code, go do it. I would be, interviewing myself here in a podcast, right? Probably.
Exactly.
Right? So the conversation is what dictates the awareness, and the awareness dictates the thinking, and the thinking dictates the actions. So you'll see scarcity mindset when it comes to there's not enough people. I always hear that from doctors, always, especially like because of this happened, and now there was nobody before this pause, and now there's nobody after. And whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. So this isn't woo-woo and smelling salts and aromatherapy and feng shui bells. It's not that. This is, if you truly believe that there's more than enough, then your brain actually doesn't kill it off. Because, we like to be right about our beliefs, right? Nobody likes to be wrong. So what happens is when someone actually shows up or responds to an ad, it makes you wrong, and you can't even see it in front of you if it was there when you have a scarcity mindset. It's so profound. And everybody thinks we see everything. Let me give you something. Let me prove that you don't see everything. Next time you look at a FedEx truck or a FedEx bill, between the E and the X, look for the arrow. Now, I do this exercise because there's an arrow between the E and the X. And everybody goes, oh, I look at FedEx all the time. I see what it says FedEx. I go, do you see FedEx arrow? They say no. I go, that's an embedded, little icon that's in there. And then I go, well, if that blew your mind, get ready for another one. In the E, in the Fed, is the universal sign for spoon fed. So nobody's looking at this, Amber. And so when you're in a fear and scarcity mindset, you can't see, you got blinders on. And when it shows up, it's right in front of you. You can't even receive it because your belief is that it's not that. I have no money. I have no time. I have no team members.
Love that. And it's just a matter of making that little switch, that little shift in your thinking that makes all the difference.
Yeah, and then I want to really get ourselves, now that we have this, and by the way, the pie thing. if I'm in an abundance mindset, I'll give you a slice, I'll give you a whole pie, because guess what? I'm in an abundance mindset. I get some bananas, I get some cream, I get that graham cracker crust, and I throw it in there. And this is now I'm doing my Sebastian Maniscalco, and then I proceed to make another freaking pie, Amber.
I'm just trying to picture you making a pie right at the moment. It's just like, okay, now I'm not going to have to look at notes because I'm like, I got off on the pie thing.
But Amber, when you're in scarcity, there's finite amount of stuff. When you give something away, you feel like you're losing it. When you stand in abundance, there really is more than enough for everybody, especially in the United freaking States. And here's the thing, I don't care what the economy is. You create your own economy. I walk people through 9/11, walk people through 2008, walk, Puerto Rico doctors through their Great Depression. You create your own economy by, very simply, you create value for people and they pay you for it. That's it. But that's not what's happening in a dental practice.
Exactly. It's very true. So we're going to kind of switch gears here just a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about responsibility versus accountability. And that, one of the things that you said in this chapter was that we should look at each position as a separate business of their own. Accountabilities are there. The team member is clear about what their roles and responsibilities are. And how do you think this elevates the culture and climate in the office?
Well, first of all, people's interpretation of this is it's going to create competitive, it's going to create tension. We should do it as a group. No, it's designed to put responsibility and accountability in the hands of each individual. And this is why doctors don't end up having and retiring financially free. This is how we get them to retire financially free. Only 4% of dentists retire financially free. The reason is because they don't reverse engineer. So what we do is, let's say you want to make $1 million. You want to work 4 days a week. You want to have 4 weeks off. You have one hygienist. If I reverse engineer that 12 months, break it down by month, break it down by day, the dentist needs to do 5,000 a day. The hygienist needs to do 1,200 a day. And now you're taking that time off and you know how much you need to do. How you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. How do you change the behaviors of team members to get them to follow through on what you need them to do? You get them in your currency connected to your measure. That measure of 5,000 and 1,200 is connected to what the doctor wants to end up at the end of the year with, right? When you do that, because 75% of team members are humanist methodicals. That means that they go, when you ask a humanist how they did today, and then they go, oh, I feel like I had a great day because I got acknowledged by every one of my patients. Their currency is validation by patients, not the revenue that is being generated. Yes, we want that to happen. Yes, we want them to be amazing with human beings. And they have an accountability in the triple win to make sure that they're responsible for delivering the return on investment greater than what the investment is in that individual. So if we're paying, let's say, $400 a day for a hygienist, $350, whatever it is, they need to generate minimally 3 times the amount in hygiene revenue from that chair. And they need to generate, if you're doing 5,000, you have to present 7,500 in dentistry every day. Because when you present 7,500, the treatment coordinator is now going to close 5,000. So if we need to get 5,000 in the doctor's schedule, we need to present enough per day, and we need to get enough accepted per day. And that's how the treatment coordinator is compensated. The appointment coordinator gets compensated on filling the day and having it end the day at 5,000 and 1,200. And then the assistant gets paid when they hit the 5,000 for the day. But it changes the behaviors. Let me give you some examples. When you change the assistant, like they think their currency is to flip rooms, make people feel comfortable, sterilize instruments, the doingness of, but they have no scoreboard for knowing how well they're doing. That's what they have to do. But what is the outcome that they need to produce? The outcome is they have to produce what the doctor's measure is for that day. Now, humanists hate numbers. And so how we teach them to relate to it is that numbers are the scoreboard for how healthy people are getting. So, when we fill the schedule to 5,000 and we complete that treatment, that means that you've impacted a human being, you've educated them, They gotten better because of the recommendations and the treatment that's being done, not only orally, but overall, their whole overall health is impacted, and you've made a huge difference for them. That's the key to the process. Now, how does it change behaviors? It changes behaviors because each person that's responsible for something and the people that are accountable, I want to distinguish that. Responsibility that's ownership. That's the umbrella. So let me give you an example. An appointment coordinator is responsible for 5,000 and 1,200. They own that turns out per day. Other people are accountable to supporting that, but they don't have to own the outcome of that number. So let me give you an example. We have assistants that they look in the chart and they see that treatment is incomplete and the doctor has an hour open for that day. They bring that patient to the treatment coordinator, they close that case. That assistant was accountable for educating the patient, filling the doctor's schedule with same-day dentistry because they had open time and they wanted to fill it. And now, so there's an accountability of the team to help that appointment coordinator fill the schedule, but the responsibility of that causation is owned in the appointment coordinator's role. So like hygiene pre-appointments, they have to make sure that 90% of people leave with an appointment. If they don't, they're looking at those measures and going, hey ladies, hey gentlemen, hygienists, hygienists, I need you to make sure that everybody leaves with an appointment. We're at 60%. You see, so this is how we create responsibility and accountability by position. Everybody looks at their own area of responsibility, and check this out, Amber, it's called interdependency. There's 3 types of team members. Dependent, those are people that only do what you say to do, and they only move when you give them direction. Mm-hmm. The independent, you guys are over there in the practice. I'm over here. I'm an associate. I'm doing whatever I want to do, or I'm a hygienist. I don't know what everybody else is doing, but this is what I'm doing. Independent, that's not healthy. Interdependent is very healthy, where you're reliant upon the person before you in the process, and then the handoff to the person after you. And then it becomes a total team machine that has accountabilities and responsibilities by position, and together, when everybody does their role and responsibility, they get validated by getting what we call a Scooby snack. They get they get the Scooby snack every day, Amber, and it's calculated daily and paid monthly. Here's the triple win. Paid monthly when the doctor collects the amount they need to collect to cover all their expenses, all their salary, all their debt, all their retirement, and the bonus that they're paying out. That's why the doc should stand there on the day that they give them out and they should go, woo-hoo, I'm giving away money. I am giving away money, baby. Because that means I'm a rock star, and proportionately, I'm getting 9/10 of that. Okay.
Right. So yeah, because we don't, that's that mindset there of talking about it not being an expense, but being an investment. Because when we're like allocating that money to go over to our investment accounts, or when we're going to our retirement accounts, and like we see that in it feels different when you're sending that money that direction. So that's that mindset change you're talking about, because when you're writing a check to the utility company, it doesn't have the same feel. Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it in a place of gratitude, yes, but most people are like, I'm having to write this check too. But when you're writing that check and sending it over to your investment company, you're like, and I'm gonna retire pretty,
Exactly. Yes, you are. You keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna make sure of that.
There we go. Perfect. Someday.
You help me, and then we help them. It's just a beautiful, a beautiful ecosystem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Gary, here at Next Level, we coach our clients to kind of change their mindsets in multiple ways. So we've mentioned seeing salaries as investments versus expenses. Team members, we talk about team members instead of staff. Abundance versus scarcity. In your opinion, just what's the most important mindset that the doctor or the team and the practice needs to really work on first? Where do you think it all begins?
I mean, they're all, I mean, they could all be equal, but if I had to pick one, I always pick shifting to abundance, because the decisions made out of fear of not enough or fear of losing. There's only two fears, Amber. Fear of losing something you have, or fear of not getting what you want, right? So that's what usually drives us. Imagine stepping off that treadmill. You can't get to peace if you're playing not to win or playing to defend the loss of something. You'll never have peace. One of the things that I'm really interested in, because I never had peace, I've always had chaos and fear and upset in my life. And I never thought I'd live in a world that didn't reside in fear. Now I can know when my fear kicks in, because it changes my behavior when I'm in fear. And what I love about this abundance mindset is like what triggers most people's motivations and actions or reactions versus, peaceful actions with responses to circumstances, is the difference between, and I had this personal experience myself. Like, I lived in, I'm not enough, it's not enough, you're not enough. So how do I interact? If I'm not enough, I think you're not doing enough. And so I look through the eyes or filter that you're not doing enough. And then what do I do to myself? I am so not kind to myself. You jerk, get in motion, start doing what you got to do. Go start kicking some ass. Go start working harder. Go start muscling it up. And that's the conversation that's driving this peaceful guy who just wants to sit here and have a podcast and help people understand these principles and concepts and apply them in their life and their practice. And all of a sudden their life changes. And like you said something earlier, very important. All the work that we share is practiced internally, for 26, 27 years. We've always grew. Every year we grew. We were always profitable. We grew. And, we grow practices. The only time practices don't grow is if they don't, get in there and intend to apply. That's it. It's pretty simple. But this concept of abundance versus scarcity is the difference between peace and fear. It's the difference between power and force. This is a big one. I can't tell you, millennials don't respond to force. If you're forcing them to do things, you're not going to have a culture that's healthy. The other thing is, if you have a dictator, and most dentists don't confront, so they hire people with strong A-type personalities to do their dirty work for them. And if they don't have a business model and they don't get buy-in from the team and get agreements with the team, then you're in the forcing world where you're carrying boulders up mountains. And that is like an existence that I believe nobody should have. My purpose is to provide complete health for people: physical health, financial health, mental health, social health, and spiritual health. And that's my purpose. If anybody's in those domains and they want to support, I am so crazy passionate about having that turn out for them, as long as they're willing and open. It's a dream. And that's why I love doing this podcast, because I get to share these things and people can really get their arms and minds around what we're talking about here and actually go apply them and change their life, their family's life, their patient's life, their team's life, and their community's life. It's really, and then that's the thing, one of the things I learned here about abundance is, once you get this, if you're not giving it away to people, it goes out of existence.
Most definitely. And I'd like to say that a little bit about that. My purpose is to bring peace, is to make sure that people are peaceful, and that is through, when you're healthy, you're peaceful. It's when you're not healthy or when you're in a state of fear. So when I'm working with a practice and they're in that scarcity mindset and those kinds of things, it's teaching them about abundance that brings them peace. And so for me, I get to fulfill my purpose every day within the purpose of Next Level Practice. And it is amazingly, powerful. It's empowering. So there's one other concept that I really wanted to talk about today, and that's, we call it how. I know how you love to have those little HOW. So tell me about
H period, O period, W period.
Okay, there you go.
Here's the thing. We have so many concepts. If it's not tied to an acronym that we can remember, people can't remember all the new distinctions, because we're really teaching them a new language, a new nomenclature, to actually, when you have new distinctions, new tools, if I have a screwdriver for a screw, like it's better than having a hammer. So like we distinguish things and bring them to life in distinctions. And once you have a distinction, then you can use it. And how is a great distinction? This is really one of the prerequisites of doing work with us. If you're not honest, H, open, O, W, willing, honest, open, and willing, we can't get our job done. You know, if a patient's lying and they go, yeah, I don't smoke, and their smile's all junked up and they got soft tissue issues. Well, I like that, soft tissue issues. That could be a good, soft tissue issues could be something good there. Anyway, yeah, and it's like when people they get their arms around this concept of how, it's really about being authentic, vulnerable, and transparent. It's really a lot of people, they talk about the weather. And the weather, like, how's the weather? It's like it's like they're not getting to the root cause of the matter, either through shame. Shame is a very powerful emotion. Guilt, shame and guilt are extraordinary in keeping people away from being honest, open, and willing. And, because like if you're embarrassed or you're shameful, like, and you're not producing something, that's where lying comes in. That's where, people justify people. Like, imagine that you can just get into reality and the truth, have a conversation about it, not be judged by anyone over here, and you're safe. And when you know you're safe and you get straight, by the way, this is how I got free from alcohol and addictions. This is part of the process, which is you have to come to face with someone else and share the wreckage of your past. And, it was no fun. And I wanted to look good. So like I had this chronic thing out here, like, oh, I can't look bad. I got to look good. I can't really, show my flaws. Then I'm not going to be liked. And if I'm not liked, I'm going to be all alone. The opposite is actually true. The more vulnerable and transparent you are, I am, the closer I get to people, the more safe the relationship is. When I open up and say, I'm an alcoholic and I'm sober for 12 years, it immediately diffuses that people have to keep this. I used to try to look good. Like on the outside, I had the cars, I had the long driveway, I had the house, I had the pretty girl. And inside I was bankrupt. I was like trying to prove to the world around me that I had it all handled because I didn't want you to find out. And the minute I surrendered to transparency, vulnerability, authenticity, was when all the things that I thought I was getting by having nice houses and Porsches and all that stuff, I didn't need any of it. I really just needed me and the acceptance of me and the acceptance of you. Really, love, the definition of love is I see you, I value you, I accept you. And, I need to be told what things are, because I don't come from a place of teachings that like love is just some intangible thing. And so this is really about, being connected to human beings and being transparent and authentic and sharing yourself, and practice it. Do it once. Because I was afraid to be intimate with my wife. I go, honey, I have no idea. So I hired this coach. I go, my wife wants to be connected and intimate. She's like, you're checking boxes and you're my roommate. You're a single man in a married relationship. I go, what the heck does that all mean? So I hire a guy and I go, she wants you and she wants to be connected to you. I go, I don't know how to do that. He goes, that's how you get it. You go to her and say, honey, I don't know how to do that. And together, can we create, a life of connection? And she teaches me. And I gave her the permission. And ever since then, we've been related and connected so deeply. And I used to not be able to make it 6 months in a relationship. And now I've been married for 15 years, 16. I better get that right. 17 years. 17 years.
You better know that date.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Oh,
Was that I kind of like that all came through me. That didn't come from me. That flowed through me there. So I hope it was valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. This has really been a truly enlightening conversation. I'm looking forward to our next episode, where we're going to talk about when your patients try your patience. So, you know how that is. So.
Thank you for listening to $1 Million Dentistry with Gary Cady. This podcast is brought to you by Next Level Practice. Next Level Practice is the leader in dental practice management. In fact, they're the best in the world at creating happy teams that implement sustainable results. If you would like a copy of Million Dollar Dentistry, please contact Amber Keithley at Next Level Practice. You may call us at 212-388-1712, extension 119, or go to nextlevelpractice.com/podcast and request a copy in our Ask a Question box. We look forward to brightening your smile.